Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Brooke and this is Popsicle-Frog Knits. I am a knitter, now a spinner, and I've just started dipping my toe into sewing because I feel like there's a knitting to spinning to sewing pipeline and I have fallen down those rabbit holes. But this is my channel where I mostly talk about knitting. I do podcasts, but I also enjoy doing other videos. And so today we have a little pattern roundup that is me planning projects and planning for buying yarn from Flock Fiber Festival, which is happening in August in Seattle. So I have been busy digging through Ravelry trying to find projects that I'm interested in and that I could possibly get yarn for at Flock. And so I wanted to do a little planning video because I think they're fun. And I normally do like seasonal planning videos, but I thought this would be fun because one of my goals in general is to buy yarn with a project in mind, and sometimes that project will change depending on new patterns that come out, but I do really like having a plan. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So I'm just gonna talk about what I'm wearing real quick because I really love this little tank. It is the Moonless Tank by Jacqueline Cieslak, or Cieslak. I'm so sorry about my pronunciation. I never know which one it is, but this is a cute little pattern they designed, and it is, I believe they made the Mooncrush Tank or the Mooncrush first, and then this is the same style as that, but without the circle intarsia. And you can knit this one either one color or two colors because it is knit flat and seamed. Because I did one color, I knit the body chunk in the round instead of doing the knit flat because I just prefer knitting in the round. And I used Walcott Fibers Opus in the color Summer Storm. It's a sport weight yarn, and I believe it's an alpaca wool blend, which is my favorite combination of fibers. I really love alpaca and wool together. So love this tank. It's really cropped so you can see my stomach a little bit even though I'm wearing high-waisted pants. And normally there's a little mock neck collar, which I didn't do, and there's those little I-cords around the edge, which I didn't do because I kind of liked the rolled raw hem. I'm considering putting the I-cord on the edges because it's a little bit low, but I'm just wearing a little bralette with it, which I think is cute. So we'll see what I decide to do because I have plenty of yarn left. I think I only used one skein, so I have a whole skein left, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. So let's get in. I have 8 patterns I'm going to talk about today. 4 of them are a little bit more summery and 4 of them a little bit more sweater-ish. And by sweater-ish, I mean they're sweaters. I don't know why I phrased it like that, but they're sweaters. So I have a Ravelry bundle that I've made. This is the first bundle I've ever made. I was like, I'm going to try it. And so I have like 20 patterns in there that I'm interested in making, but I kind of boiled it down to the main 8 that I think I would like to get yarn for. I'm not gonna get yarn for all of these projects at all, but these are the ones I am thinking about when I'm looking at different colors and different fibers from the vendors that are gonna be at Flock. And I'm so excited. This is gonna be the second yarn festival I've gone to, but some of my favorite dyers are gonna be there and I'm just really pumped about it. So I keep saying let's get into it, but real quick, my goals, I already mentioned I really wanna buy yarn with project in mind, hence this video, but also I want to focus on smaller gauge projects. So recently I just finished the Violet Tea by Jessica McDonald, and that I knit as a sample for Jess of Witchfire Fibers. And that was a fingering weight tee, and it took a while. It took me almost a month, but I really enjoyed knitting it, and I really like how smaller gauge projects look. And so I have picked patterns that use quite a few of them use fingering or sport weight yarns, and so that was one of the things I wanted to focus on. The last thing I wanted to focus on is simplicity of patterns. So I really like classic, timeless looking pieces. That's just what I'm drawn to. So a lot of stockinette. I do really enjoy textured knits as well. I knit the Stick Season, which I really love the textured yoke of, and I'm working on the Book Club cardigan, which is a fully cabled cardigan. So I do knit that stuff, or those kinds of projects, but I have really focused on simplicity in the finished garment. I hope that makes sense. So now we're gonna get into the patterns, which I've been saying, but we really are. So I have my computer here with my notes, so if I look down, bear with me. I do not have this all memorized, but I'm gonna talk about the pattern. I'm gonna talk about how much yarn I would need to get for my size, and just talk a little bit about the pattern, how it's constructed, and I will be putting pictures over here. So I'm actually gonna scoot over a little bit so I have room to show you what the patterns look like. The first pattern is the Feels Right Tee by Lily Kate France of Lily Kate Makes is her name on Instagram. And I've never knit one of her patterns, but I really do love how a lot of them look. And I'm very excited to try to find yarn for this one. So I saw Marlene of Marlene Knits make this as part of a small knit along with some of her friends, which include Lily. And I was like, that's a really gorgeous, simple tee. It's a t-shirt. But it's absolutely beautiful. I love the little cap sleeve. I can't remember what the ease is supposed to be, but I think it has a little bit of negative ease, which I really like in a summer garment. I say wearing a pretty positive ease heavy top, but I do really like negative ease projects. So based on my measurements, I would be knitting a size 3, and so that requires 850 yards or 778 meters. So that it's a fingering weight top, so I would need about 2 skeins of yarn to knit this, which I like because I could alternate the skeins, which I do almost all the time when I'm knitting a project with hand-dyed yarn. I don't like pooling. Having 2 is good. And yeah, so that's the first top I'm gonna look for yarn for. Moving on. The second pattern I want to look for yarn for, I have actually mentioned because it is the Mooncrush Tank by Jacqueline Cieslak, and it is shaped like this one, except it has these really cute circular motifs on it, and it is knit flat, and it uses intarsia, and I've never used intarsia. I've only ever done stranded color work, and I'm a little bit intimidated by it, but I really love how the finished product looks, and that is because, give me 1 second. Okay, I just wanted to look up one of the people who has kind of inspired me to make this, and it's Allie of Study Knits, which she just started a YouTube channel, and I really enjoy her videos, so you should definitely go check her out. But she made the Mooncrush Tank in these beautiful colors, And I was like, that sold me on it. I was like, I need this in my life. It's so cute. And so there is an option for a 2-color version or a 3-color version. And my plan is to do the 2-color version. So the circles would be the same color instead of each one being a different color. And then the rest of the body is one color. So I need about 441 yards or 403 meters of each color for the 2-color version. So that would be one skein, around one skein of each color. And like I said, it's knit flattened panels, it's in tarsia, and my plan is to make the size 2 because I made the size 3 in this one and it's a little bit big, which I really like and I wanted, but I do like the idea of having a slightly more tight fitting tank. Maybe. I might change my mind. We'll see what happens, but right now my plan is to make a size 2. So that's one size smaller than the recommended size for my bust measurements. And so yeah, that's the Mooncrush Tank. So we're gonna move on to pattern number 3, which is the Rib to Your Measure tank by Lacey Williamson of Winwood Farms on Instagram. And I've wanted to make this for a long time. It was actually on my knitting plans video at the beginning of 2023, and I just never got around to making it last year. And then this year I ended up using the yarn I had planned to use it with to make the 7 p.m. tank. It was this beautiful green from Mezzo Makes. And so I've wanted to knit this for a long time. It is a all over rib tank, so it has a lot of negative ease, and I think it's 2x2 rib, which I think I love 2x2 rib. It's my favorite ribbing style. I just think it's really pretty and looks really nice. And so I would be making a size 3, which is for a 36-inch bust. I would need about 1 skein of yarn for my size, and the pattern is really cool because it has an option to knit it top down or bottom up. I would be knitting it top down. I don't really like bottom up patterns. I say wearing a bottom up pattern, but it's not my favorite construction. So I would knit top down, and there's also instructions on how to modify it to make it a dress, which is really cool. It's a really cute dress, and I don't know if I said this uses fingering weight yarn, and it's just really pretty. It reminds me quite a bit of Camisole number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, except this pattern is size inclusive, where that one is not. So it doesn't have the double knit edges, but still 2x2 rib, high neck, similar vibe. And the last pattern that's not a sweater is I think it's Arcuate Vest, which is by Charissa Lamb. And I knit one of her patterns last year. I knit the Lunati, which is honestly one of my most worn and one of my favorite knits that I have made. It is just this beautiful top. I really loved her pattern writing. It was really clear, it was really concise, and I have been wanting to make this vest for quite a while. It is a all over cabled vest. And up until recently, I was really scared of doing cables. I don't know why, but that was something that just really intimidated me. And as I said, I'm doing the book club cardigan, which is by Saria Nordland. I'm not sure if I said that, but it's all over cable. And so I am feeling comfortable with cables now, and I'm excited that I've tackled that skill. I really wanted to try doing it last year, but it just didn't happen for me. But I'm really excited that I've taken the plunge and started it started doing cables this year. So I'm feeling pretty confident in my ability to knit this vest now. And so this vest uses DK weight yarn, and I'm not sure if I want to knit a size 2 or 3. I haven't decided how much positive ease I want yet, so I am not sure. I'm gonna look more at the project pictures on Ravelry and maybe on Instagram to see how it fits. And it would require between 2 and 3 skeins of DK weight yarn to make size 2 and 3. And it's a bottom-up construction, which I said isn't my favorite, but I'll suck it up for a really pretty pattern. And I would love to use a tweedy yarn for this. I just think a cabled vest in a tweed yarn would be really gorgeous. So I'm not married to that idea, but I do think it would be really cute. We are gonna hop into the sweater category of this video now, and we're gonna start off with the CARDI Jumper by Inez Oliveira. And it's this beautiful reversible cardigan. So it has these gorgeous little buttons, and it's a V-neck on one side and round on the other side, but it is a reversible pattern, so you can wear it either way. I think I would get more use out of it wearing it with the buttons at the front, but I don't know. We'll see once I make it, because this is something I'm gonna make. Even if I don't get yarn for it at Flock, I'll get yarn for it some other time. But this calls for, it uses sport weight because it uses a light fingering and a mohair. I believe it calls for knitting for olive, merino, and soft silk mohair. But a lot of people have knit it with fingering weight yarn, from what I can tell in the project pages. And so I would be knitting it with a fingering weight unless I find a sport weight that I really love. And it uses around 1,250 meters of yarn for a size 3. So about 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn are needed for the pattern. It would, for sport weight, I believe it would be about 4 skeins of sport weight yarn. So we'll see what I find. I'm keeping my options open. And it actually, the pattern has 2 options. One of them has ribbing, and I think is it a DK weight gauge? And I know the sample is striped, but I want to make the original version, which I believe has I-cord edging. And it's just really gorgeous. So now let's move into the next pattern, which is the Birch Pullover by Andrea Mowry. I've never knit an Andrea Mowry pattern, and I know they're like some of the most popular knitting patterns that people make, especially with handspun yarn. But the Birch Pullover is a fingering weight pattern, and it is all over half fisherman's rib, I believe. Let me double check. So I just checked. It is knit in half fisherman's rib. So I've never done half fisherman's rib. I have plans to do the Lanark sweater by Rebecca Clow of the Cray-a-Bam, but I have not started or even swatched for that project. So this would be me trying another technique that I've never done, and I really love how it looks. So I am excited to try it out, even if I end up making the Lanark before I make the Birch Pullover. I first saw this because Emily of Gently Chaotic Knits made one in this beautiful, I think it was a yellow yarn, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, and I've wanted to make this for a while. I've just been a little intimidated by it, so I would love to get yarn for this project. And the pattern calls for a lot of yarn. It calls for 2,056 yards, which is about 1,880 meters for a size 3, so that would be about 5 skeins of yarn. But looking at project pages for size 3, a lot of people used about 1,600 yards. So I'm unsure of whether I should get 4 or 5 skeins. If you knit this pattern, please let me know if you used way less yarn than the pattern says you need, because I'm also probably going to crop it because I have a short torso and I just prefer cropped garments that sit a little bit below my natural waist. And this is a project that's going to take a really long time. I believe, let me see. It is knit on 2.75 millimeter needles. I've never knit a garment with needles that small. I have knit socks with needles that are smaller than that, but not a garment. So, and I think fisherman's rib takes more time. Not sure about that, but I believe it does. So this would be a pretty long-term whip for me, but I really I'm a process and a product knitter, so I do really just love the process of sitting down and knitting. I think once I get the hang of it, it would become a more mindless knit, and yeah, I just think it's gorgeous. So that is, let's see, that is the second sweater that I'm interested in knitting. So we have 2 more, and the next one is the Dear Duomo by Seung Hee Hong. I really hope I pronounced that right. But I have knit the Doppio sweater, which is by her, and I love that pattern so much. I want to make more because it's just gorgeous. It uses 3 yarns held together, so you just get this really beautiful mix of these colors, and I love mine so much. So, and I've seen a lot of Dear Duomos, and it's just a really, really pretty pattern. And this one is at a DK weight, which you can either use a DK yarn or a fingering and a mohair. I really love mohair. I know a lot of people don't, and honestly, mohair is not terrific for the climate that I live in, but I do really love mohair. It does make projects more expensive though a lot of the time, so I'm not sure if I want to get a DK or a fingering and mohair. We will see what happens with that. So for size 3, you need about 1,150 yards or 1,051 meters. And again, I'm obsessed with the Doppio, so I have really high hopes for this pattern because that's one of my favorite sweaters that I have made. Even though I say that about all my sweaters, I really, really love that one. I love the yarn I used, and I am so excited for winter so I can wear it again. So the last project that I want to make is one I've wanted to make for a while, and I actually had yarn picked out for this sweater that was in my stash, but it is the yarn I ended up using for my book club cardigan, and that was Barocco Ultra Alpaca in the color Buckwheat, I think. And so I no longer have that yarn to make it, and it is this beautiful textured sweater, and I didn't say who it was by, I don't think. It's by Ozetta, so Haley Smedley, and I love her patterns so much. She is actually the first pattern I ever made was an Ozetta pattern. I made, I think, the camp socks, which are a worsted weight sock, and I just love her patterns. I've made one other pattern of hers. I made the Traveler cardigan. I made it twice actually, one for me and one for my, okay, camera cut me off. So I was just talking about what Ozetta patterns I've knit. and her patterns are just beautiful. There's quite a few I want to make, but I'm obsessed with the clay sweater. I actually I believe I applied to test knit it. I didn't get that, but I just love this sweater. And so it uses a DK weight yarn, and it requires 1,375 yards or 1,257 meters for a size 3. And I just love it. I was waiting until the fall to make it with the Barocco yarn, but that yarn was the perfect color in my opinion for a book club cardigan, and it worked out gauge wise. So I decided to use that yarn instead, or change the pattern for that yarn plan. But I do really love the color of that, and I love the color of the original clay sweater that Haley made. So I do want to find something that's similar to that color, like a neutrally brown, maybe a little bit more gray. I think the Barocco one that I have is a little bit of a warmer brown, but yeah, and I want a non-superwash yarn. So I really love knitting with superwash yarn, but I think that a sweater like this would just be beautiful in a non-superwash. I think the structure would be better because superwash does stretch quite a bit, and because I just think a non-superwash would be better for me personally. So those are the patterns that I've picked out and figured out that I want to make. So yeah, again, I have a Ravelry bundle with more patterns that I'm interested in making. I'm gonna link that down below. I'll also link all of the patterns I've mentioned in the description box. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit shorter than my typical ones, but I think that's good. A little bit more consumable, I guess. I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some knitting, crocheting, whatever you do when you watch these videos. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram at popsicle_frog. Also, you can add me on Ravelry. It's popsicle-frog there. And yeah, if you want to, you could subscribe. That would be wonderful of you, and it really helps me. You can also like the video. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know if you're going to be at Flock and what your upcoming knitting plans are. I really love hearing what people are working on and what their plans are to get more ideas for patterns that I could potentially make. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.